We, as Methodists, have some traditions we like to eat. You're right. That's right. I mean, we come together for meals all the time, and we love when we can do that. I remember when I was younger, living in Maryland and growing up south of Baltimore. In the churches that we attended, we always had dinners on Wednesday night during the season of Lent. And there would be some contributions from everyone. The WSCS, the Women's Society for Christian Service, which is now United Methodist Women, would make the entree. And then all of the other people in the congregation would bring a certain dish. And my mother, I remember my mother making her dish, and she was worried about how it was going to look and how it was going to taste and all this other stuff, and whether there was enough. And I enjoyed this. There'd be a speaker after each meal, and if you could stay awake long enough and the speaker was good, everything was fine for that Wednesday evening. But I remember one meal where they served meatloaf. It was the driest piece of meat I have ever tasted. Not like my mother's, and certainly not like my wife Karen makes. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It was one of those things where you ate it because back then you had to eat it because your parents said whatever's put in front of you, you eat it. And so we did. But if you find a recipe in an old cookbook from Community United Methodist Church in Pasadena, Maryland, please don't impose the meatloaf recipe on your family. I like the idea of everybody being fed, but the food's got to be quality stuff, you know? In my family, when we had weddings, there was always somebody who was putting together the food. Usually it wasn't the bride, and it wasn't the bride's mother necessarily. It was the rest of the family, and they'd bring together ham sandwiches and potato rolls and a whole bunch of other stuff. And if you're getting hungry right now, I'm sorry, but they would bring all this food together and make sure that everybody had enough. That was just the way it went. And my Aunt Leona, who had a neighborhood bar and restaurant, used to put on parties for the family, and she made so much food, there was always something left over. It was good. That was the way it was. And my mother, on the day that Karen and I got married, she said, "What would you like for breakfast?" And I told her I wanted my favorite breakfast, and so she made that, which was sausage, German sausage, I think, with brown gravy, eggs, and hominy. Not hominy grits, but hominy. That was what we ate on the East Coast. And my wife's cousin Bruce was staying with us for that night because he was one of the groomsmen. And he had breakfast with us, and he apparently learned that you're supposed to eat everything on the table. And we're getting through this breakfast, and I looked over at Bruce, and he's going, I said, "Bruce, what's wrong?" I said, "Bruce, you know you don't have to eat everything on the table." He went, "Whew." He was used to eating what he had. There was plenty there on the food. There was plenty left over. Nobody was hungry. That's what Jesus is doing in this particular passage. He's making sure that no one is hungry. In spite of the negative approach that the disciples had, we only had 2 fish and 5 loaves. 5 loaves and 2 fish. How are we going to feed all these people? Let's do this. Let's send them away so they can go buy food. There's a lot of stuff to think about. Send them away because you don't think you're prepared adequately. They need food. They need to eat. But you think because you don't have enough, you shouldn't bother with them. They need to go somewhere else so that you don't have them in your mind that you've not fed them, that you couldn't feed. And Jesus teaches them again. He says, bring the loaves to me, bring the food to me. And so he brings it, and he holds it up. I'm imagining this. He holds it up like this, and he asks God to bless it. And then he gives it to the disciples, and they begin to feed the 5,000 or 10,000 or how many are actually there. This little bit of food. This little bit of food. That, in that moment, Jesus actually changes the mindset of the disciples. They've come to the place where they think, well, Jesus will take care of us. Yes, Jesus will take care of us. And so we don't have to do anything. We don't have to We don't have to hold on to the ear. Unless you want people to hear you. Did you hear me, Dad? My concern is that sometimes we believe that everything is up to Jesus Christ and that we're not qualified. So we're not qualified to feed others. So we don't do that. Well, the idea then is to get qualified, to become equipped by feeding yourself first. And by that I don't mean just sticking your nose in the Bible or always attending a Sunday school class. I mean by actually practicing what it means to feed others every day. Are you actually helping people to eat? Are you helping people to learn about Jesus Christ? Is your witness effective? Do you have a story that you can tell to people of how you came to Christ? How you came to be a believer? Can you tell people about how you learned how to love? And in the process of feeding yourself, maybe you did in fact learn how to love in the way that Christ loves. That's practice. That's you being fed. And it's sufficiently abundant within you that it spills over to the community, to everyone. People you meet in the grocery store, people you meet at the gas station here. Well, I know it's easy for you to love the ones who are here. It's easy for me. It's not so easy to help the ones that are not quite who we're used to dealing with. But they deserve love too. They deserve your attention. And they deserve your witness. Now, one of the dangers of saying to you that you need to feed yourself first is that we come to this place where we say, okay, well, I got to take care of myself, so the heck with the ministry and the mission, I'm just going to feed myself, I'm going to learn everything I can, and I'm going to be super smart, and I'm going to be able to quote the Bible word for word, paragraph, period, exclamation point, quotations. It's a lot of detail. But you're not feeding anybody else when you do that. And you might say, well, Nick, how the heck am I supposed to get this done? You tell me I'm supposed to be preparing myself, I'm supposed to be equipping myself, I'm supposed to be able to go out and express my witness to people, I'm supposed to go out and gather them and love them and all this stuff, and how am I going to do that if I don't spend some time with myself? Well, you don't do it in a linear fashion, you do it all at the same time. Things can go on at the same time. It's okay. You're listening and breathing at the same time. At least I hope you're breathing. And I really hope you're listening. But you do those at the same time. And when you feed yourself and when you learn about Jesus Christ, when you're learning more about how you should be and what Jesus wants you to learn, when you do that, go out in the field, you understand now, oh, that's what he meant to love somebody. That's what it feels like when you love someone. And when you see someone's eyes, their eyes open because you've spoken to them and they're saying, oh, I never thought about that before. She really made that clear to me. And you have that same experience back. And then you understand what it means to practice witnessing. Practice loving. Practice feeding. This is a wonderful story. And it must have been because all of the Gospels have it. And it's the only story that they have. Jesus has always charged us with responsibility for others. Feeding them is one. And I know that you do that well. That's food. There's also the spiritual side, that needs to be fed to the community. And I need to the community, starting right here in this community. I hope that you will take heed, that you will feed yourself, and that the love of Christ will be so abundant that you can't help but spill out.